Lately, we've been seeing lots of people having awakenings of energy and blaming the anxiety that they uncover on the experience itself. But this isn't actually the case. Nope. Rather, you've just unlocked a whole new dimension of life inside of you, and your old response, which is fear and panic in the mind, is still alive in you. So it's really just old karma, old actions running off. So what we want to do is get in alignment with that process so we can transform our karma, which is an action that binds you and creates consequences, and transform it into a kriya, which is an action that sets you free. So to help you do this, we're going to pose a few important questions, and I'm going to try and download about a decade's worth of yogic experience into you in 10 minutes or less. To do that, I'm going to unpack these few ideas so that you can gain some clarity around what's happening in you, so that you feel empowered to move forward with your life. So to do this, let's pose 3 topics. Firstly, what is the cause of this anxiety post-Kundalini experience? Secondly, what is the cardinal sin that's gonna keep you trapped, repeating the same cycles again and again? And finally, we're gonna talk about exactly what you need to do to stop all of that panic, that fear and anxiety from taking over your life and healing it. You see, the big challenge when you have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening is that lots of energy rushes to the surface very quickly. So you have what is essentially an enlightenment experience, but it's created on shaky foundations because there's still a huge storehouse of karma underneath that really hasn't been dealt with. And this was exactly what happened to me over a decade ago. This is why typically after an awakening is experienced in a nervous system that hasn't done any training to make it strong, that person becomes wildly unbalanced in their life for a good few years, to be honest with you. They become unbalanced physically, mentally, and of course their bioenergetics are well out of whack. And this was also my experience. So let's talk about what this storehouse of karma really is and how it's going to affect our life moving forward. Pretty simply, karma means action. Now, we have a storehouse of actions in our systems that have been left unresolved. From my experience, there's 2 ways that we can resolve this in our lives. Firstly, that's by experiencing it. So that's to say that we kind of have to manifest the fear, the karma, into our reality to begin seeing it from a new perspective and healing that aspect of suppressed stuff. And secondly, and as far as I'm concerned, by far the best way, is to remove the karma at its seed root. And we do that through sadhana. This way, we don't have to manifest it in our physical reality, which is a massive bonus, right? Now, sadhana is your daily spiritual practice that brings about the highest aliveness and intensity of energy in your system so that you may begin clearing the lenses of the mind that start distorting the way that we see life, and so that we can shift the trajectory of our life. Now, if you're brand new on this path, which if you're attracting this video, you may well be, you may have never heard of sadhana before, but it's so important. In fact, it's a non-negotiable. And so much so, I made a free 7-day spiritual growth accelerator course, and you can access that down below. This gives you some free sadhana, some free coaching, and you can understand yourself a little bit better in this journey. So karma is essentially your past habits, your past thoughts, your past emotions, all coming from unresolved trauma, or what we would call in our tradition, samskaras. Now, our work is to heal that. And my word, when we have a Kundalini awakening, for example, it's like opening Pandora's box, and this is where the real work begins. And usually where, for most of us, a dark night of the soul begins to happen, because this is all the stuff that we've repressed and shoved down throughout our life, and all of that's going to come up now because the subconscious mind's grip has been let go. It's at this point you should definitely get a teacher. Just one small disclaimer and bias to bring up: we teach here, so you're more than welcome to use us, but of course there are many great teachers out there. Nonetheless, at this point, please do get one. There are just some people that can see more than us. And that's the value of a teacher. They just have that little bit more experience. It's super simple on this path. Because I've heard horror stories and worked with a lot of clients that have been in like dark nights of the soul for like 18 years, or they've been sectioned and stuff like this, and it really didn't have to be that way. A lot of them come, they do some sadhana, begin transforming, and all of that stuff, like the darkness, the inertia, the sadness, just disappears very, very quickly. So let's dive into what the cause of the anxiety is. You're anxious because you're insecure. Oh, really? It's that simple? Yeah. But it's not what you think. And we don't have to take this personally. I'm not calling you insecure. It's not meant personally in that way. It's just we're insecure or ignorant as to our real self. So I mean capital S, self. We're not connected deeply enough to our true nature. So we're insecure or we're ignorant of our existential reality, our existential truth. True nature is felt. It's a feeling of unwavering, unconditional ease and peace. In our tradition, we call that dynamic stillness. But if you aren't connected to that state of being, that you are, you won't be feeling peace. Now, after a Kundalini experience, it may well have opened up a void in you, and that will be felt also, and it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel peaceful. It feels a little bit unnerving. And that's because it's all new. But in fact, it's not new. It's always been there. We've just been so focused on our minds, haven't we? And the suffering that's been created in there, that it's covered up our beingness. So this is why very early on we teach people to switch over from thinking to feeling. Now listen, I know that the way I've explained this doesn't sound exactly sexy or fun. Who wants to feel void, right? And naturally, because we've been operating from fear for so long, as you start feeling into that void inside, the mind's going to project fear onto it. So you're going to start thinking that you've gone crazy because the foundation from which you knew your life, which was your mind, wasn't it, is no longer available to you in the same way, and you can probably sense that. So you're left with this spacious void, which can be really unnerving at times. But in your response, you become. So let me tell you what that means. Meaning, if I respond with fear, I become fearful. If I respond with anxiety, I become anxious. Pretty simple, right? So is the cause of your anxiety the Kundalini? No, it's your mind and your fear-based responses to these new experiences that have opened up inside of you. And I'm going to share with you exactly what you need to do to stop this at the end of the video. And before that, I'm going to talk about this cardinal sin that you might be engaging in after an awakening that will keep you trapped for years, guaranteed. You ready for it? You are the chosen one. The internet spirituality makes me very sad nowadays because there are so many videos and they're very popular which speak to our spiritual ego and this need for spiritual specialness or existential specialness. And my God, if I found videos like this after my awakening experience, I would have genuinely believed that I was the Messiah. And in fact, at that time, I kind of really did. But luckily, I got a teacher and he managed to slap that out of me pretty fast. And thank God he did. See, this idea of being chosen is true on one level, but please, please, please don't create an identity out of that and make yourself one of the chosen few who's gained superior status with God, and now you're better than other people because you've had a spiritual experience and mine is better than yours and blah, 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 blah. This is all spiritual bullshit. But our specialness can manifest in a subtle way as fear too. Now we know as social creatures that to outrightly admit to another person that we're amazing or cool or special or above other people in some way can come across as arrogant, and frankly that's because it is, but it's not true. And so we have an interesting way of hiding the fact that our ego believes that we're special or that we're above others, so we express it as fear instead, and it looks a little bit like this. I'm really panicked by this new energy inside of me. I must be the only one experiencing this crazy new phenomena or energy or spiritual experience or realization about my awakening process, end quote. Do you see how implied in that is that there's something special about me, but I'm going to present this under the guise of fear, so I look a little bit, less arrogant. That way I get to hide it, right? And this has two effects. Number one, if you have a teacher, your teacher is going to see straight through that, and that's okay, and that's safe because they've done it too, and that's how they know that you're doing it. Secondly, when you're communicating with other people that don't have that level of awareness, all they're going to hear is your fear, not your specialness. So you don't even get the effect that you want, which is to be revered, loved, liked, and we all want that. But again, it's implying, as we speak like this, that we're separate from our stillness, our true nature, from our self. Because in this state of being, we don't need to prove anything to anybody, especially not our specialness, because we feel so blissful and alive inside anyway, naturally. And there's nothing special about that, because everybody has the capacity to be in alignment with their self. We're all the self. So we've looked at the cause of the anxiety and the storehouse of karma that's within us. We've hopefully come to the conclusion too that we aren't special or above other people because we've had an experience or a realization. Next, we're going to have a look at exactly what you need to do to stop that anxiety and or separateness or specialness feeling and reconnect with that blissful feeling inside. So here's exactly what you need to do to stop the anxiety. There's a big difference between feeling and feelings. Just after my awakening experience, my life changed immensely in a second. But I was at university at the time, and every day I would travel into London on the train. But I would get so anxious, not just about everything worldly, like, I had this assignment to do, etc., but also about this whole new dimension of life that had opened up inside of me. I was in pieces, and thank God I had a teacher to guide me through this. But one day I began to notice that the feeling of energy in my feet and in my hands was very peaceful and very easy to focus upon. And honestly, it was a great distraction from the chaos, the anxiety and the fear and the panic that was going on inside of me. Now, this energy in your feet and in your hands is what we call in our tradition dynamic stillness. And it doesn't just exist in your feet and in your hands. It exists all over the body. In fact, it's more correct to say that your body exists within it, but we won't go there today. Now, you notice that when you're in panic or anxiety or fear, this central line of the body is completely overwhelmed, but there are no emotions in your hands or in your feet. And you can put your attention there like your life depends on it. And I guarantee to you, if you do that, that pain, that panic, that fear in the central line of your body will wash away. Some of you might say, but isn't that avoidance, Jamie? And the answer is no. See, you're still feeling the energy that you are that's underneath the feelings, albeit a very small segment of it, but it's a great starting place. And that's until you have the confidence to be able to feel the energy that you are beneath the feelings, the emotions, as those feelings arise. And this is where you begin to understand in time that feeling is the base, is the root. That presence is the root of your life, of your existence, and it's always there. But feelings, the emotions, the thoughts that come and go, well, they come and go in the feeling that you are. The feeling is bigger. The self is bigger. It's the container for these emotions to rise and fall. Now, if you continue to marinate in that understanding and then experience that yourself, you'll set yourself free in no time at all. And that's my wish for you. So if you've watched this far in the video, something's obviously happening to you. And maybe you want to know exactly what a Kundalini experience is. Well, in this video here, we're going to give you a step-by-step guide so that you feel more certain on your path and you feel more confident to move forward with it. Lots of love then. Namaste.